Let's fly straight into the middle of the action of the most lavishly decorated, theatrically extravagant pinball. Oh no.
Hurry.
I love that sound. Makes draining the ball a lot less painful. G'day there, I'm SnakeOfBacon, and this is Tales of the Arabian Nights, the pinball machine as emulated in the Pinball arcade for PS4. From 2014 to the middle of 2018, you could download this game for free, and you could buy other tables in the Pinball arcade. But I fell in love with this table, and then it was removed because the license ran out. Could not get it at all. It's impossible to download it. But there's a disc. Makes me happy.
Open sesame.
Yes, let's open. Oh, it's already gone.
Try that again.
The story begins thusly.
In ancient Baghdad, a most beautiful princess was imprisoned by the evil genie Salim Bagazai.
A short introduction, but more than enough context for a game of pinball. Save the princess, defeat the evil genie. It paints a very illustrative picture. Along with the music, sound effects, dot matrix display animations, and of course the paintings and illustrations on the table. This thing is a work of art. Man, do I love dot matrix displays. They're so cool. Best thing that happened to pinball in the 90s. And Sydney trains. Isn't that cool that trains have... Right, I'm supposed to be banishing a genie. I did it. That was easy. No, that's not how you banish the genie. That's a fireball attack. Happens all the time. Just part of the standard gameplay loop. To win this game, you need to complete the 7 Tales. Makes sense. It's Tales of the Arabian Nights. And then, once you've completed the 7 Tales, which are done by doing various things, shooting ramps and hitting targets and whatever else, you then can initiate a genie battle and defeat the genie. Which I have not done, but it obviously doesn't stop me from enjoying the game. How many people love Windows Space Cadet Pinball and have barely cleared 2 missions in it? I keep going back to the Pinball arcade to hear that riff. Every spin of a lamp adds not just points to your bonus, but notes to the solo played on a virtual oud or rhubarb or kanun, I'm not sure, but I love the sound. I mentioned art before, and if you'd like to get a closer look at it, whether it's just to read all the labels on the lights so you know what they're all about, or just to see the things that you can't see from down near the bumpers, there's this wonderful table flyover mode, which of course plays into Farsight's philosophy for the Pinball arcade of preservation and accessibility. It's vital that these great machines aren't lost to time, and of course, the actual physical machines are well looked after by enthusiasts around the world, but they're not accessible at all. Due to their rarity, I don't know where the nearest TOTAN machine I can play is. Are there any in all of Sydney? Are there any good places to play pinball at all in Sydney? They keep closing. Point is, there's a TOTAN machine in Melbourne on Gumtree for 26,000 Australian dollars right now. 26,000. That's a lot of money. I don't see myself hearing that extra ball fanfare on a real machine anytime soon. At least not on one I own. Let's earmark that for 2050. That's enough daydreaming about owning a real pinball table. This simulation will suffice for now. I should mention too that this game runs at 1080p 60 on PS4, and here it's running on PS5, where I should be able to get 1080p 60 footage, but I can't. It's either 1080p 30, or there's a complicated system to get 4K 60 footage, but I couldn't get it to work because I didn't have enough storage space. Because, well, I'll blame an NBA game for that. You'll have to take my word for it. It's so much smoother than this when you play, obviously. At 60 FPS, it feels alive. It's like a real table. That's probably just the immersion talking. Yes, the floorboards are quite ugly. You can turn the lighting in the room down so you don't see the floor texture, but you're not seeing that. After a while, the world melts away and you are in the pinball. You have lots of camera options. You don't have to see the floor at all. No option to move the DMD position or the watermark though, so I can't help that they overlap. Although I love the sounds of this table, in the audio department, it pales in comparison to some of the other tables on this disc. Many of the 80s ones especially have really clean synthesizer sounds that come out perfectly in really high fidelity, whereas this, it's a bit muffled and compressed in places, though a lot of that I'm sure comes from the sources. In 1996, you couldn't get a lot of solid-state memory for your money, so every sound effect, all the voice lines, and they're difficult to compress, and all the MIDI music, and the animations, the programming, everything fits on, I would guess, a 2 or 4 or 8 megabyte chip. I'm not sure, possibly more, but probably not much more. And that would be fine for all the music and things if there wasn't so much dialogue. Just the last 20 seconds of me speaking occupies 4 megabytes as a WAV file on my computer. When TOTAN was new, so was Crash Bandicoot, and more relevantly, the second direct-to-video sequel to Aladdin, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. You could rent it at a Blockbuster or a Video Easy or something. Ah, good times. Well, not good times 1996, I was a fetus. I hardly remember anything at all before 2000, but I do remember video rental stores still being pretty good as a place to borrow movies and PS2 and Xbox games up until they crumbled into obscurity in the early 2010s due to their services no longer being needed. But what's important here is Tales of the Arabian Nights, and specifically what makes it such an engrossing, engaging table to play even here in a simulation. What makes it a great pinball table? Because, well, if you're this far into the video, you should be somewhat familiar with pinball by now. But if you're not, perhaps they all look the same to you. They're all just things that have flippers and they make noises and they produce fun. And that part is true. They all have skill shots, or just about all of them, but this is a cool skill shot with 3 holes to bonk a snake on the head. It makes sense to its theme, and having the 3 holes in the ramp is different to a lot of skill shots. The multi-ball system, where the ball sinks into the top near the genie, and then you're tasked with throwing balls, or spears on the DMD back at the genie, that makes sense. It's not just about the context of the spears, forget that part. The system of the multi-ball works well here. There's another multi-ball mode that's much, much harder to activate. So this is the multi-ball for beginners, and then the harem multi-ball is for experts. This table has a really good range of beginner to expert features, which is what keeps you coming back to a good pinball table all the time. The Make-A-Wish system, it's a perfect example. It fits with the genie theme, and of course you can make a wish to bypass a mission and get a free jewel. In this case, I wished for the opportunity to score millions more points with triple lightning lamp, but I missed the lamp because it's currently sitting in a position that's really hard to reach. It's easy enough to get used to hitting the ramps or hitting the genie, but the spinning lamp is one of the most chaotic and unpredictable parts of the table, along with, of course, slingshots that always hit things into the outlanes, unless you've got outlane protection like the shooting star system, which is unique among other pinball tables. Well, maybe not completely unique, but most of them just block the outlanes or have kickers in the bottom. They don't catch your ball with a bunch of spears. That's a cool feature. And it's generous too, because stopping the ball there gives the player a lot more time to react. Of course, you're only safe while those are lit, and to light them you have to hit some drop targets. I actually forget how you light the shooting stars. I'll have to check the guide on that later. And there is a really cool guide, which I'll show you soon. Anyway, you're only safe while those white lights are on, and yeah. A 57 spin bonus and getting an extra ball doesn't make you feel like you've lost, it makes you feel like a legend. In the Pinball Arcade, there are full and thorough guides for every table showing you everything you need to hit to complete every goal. For example, the Sinbad in the Rock's tail requires you to hit the left loop, which is the most extraordinarily difficult part of this table to reach. I can hit it by fluke sometimes when passing the ball between flippers. I've even once hit it with the left flipper, which is bizarre because I've always thought you could only hit it with the end of the right flipper, but I can never hit it with a shot from holding the ball, ever. I can only hit it when the ball is moving at a low speed, and I'm very lucky. It's an extremely difficult part of the table to reach. And that's probably the hard part that keeps the pros coming back to do the difficult things like Harem Multi-Ball, which is the last goal I have left to get this table's trophy. Because it requires you to hit the left loop 5 times while the tiger light's not on. It's so very specific, and it's the hardest part of the table to reach. I usually only hit it, once per play, not 5 times. And if I do hit it 5 times, I'll end up getting 5 tiger loops, which is not what I want. But I'm not here to rant about the left loop, though I don't think a thorough review of Tales of the Arabian Nights would be complete without saying, hey, that left loop is pure evil, just as it wouldn't be complete without praising how good that sound is, though I've done that so many times already. It's a nice sound though, hey? Anyway, this is the last ball, so it is time to wrap things up. In conclusion, Tales of the Arabian Nights is a fantastic pinball table, and the Pinball Arcade is a wonderful place to play it. To do so, you will need the Pinball Arcade Season 1 or Season 2 discs, available for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And they're backwards compatible on the new consoles, of course. It's very unfortunate that they made no Season 3 and onwards discs, so heaps of tables like Judge Dredd and the Addams Family were painstakingly digitized and then lost. Another victim of short-term video game licensing agreements. The same thing happens to any game with any car, song, or intellectual property in it. It's available for a few years, and then it's a real pain in the neck to get again, until the license is renegotiated. Video game licensing is why we can't have nice things, like backwards compatibility for Rally Sport Challenge 2. Anyway, we don't want to end on a sad thought like that. I've been SnakeOfBacon. I earned 21,292,290, which made a new bottom entry in my scoreboard. You want to beat me? You have to beat 38,761,000. The challenge is open. Go get yourself Tales of the Arabian Nights for the Pinball Arcade. This table is also available in Pinball FX3 by Zen Studios, though of course that uses a different physics engine, and I can hardly even make 5 million in that version because I'm not used to it. SnakeOfBacon, signing out. Enjoy yourselves.